everybody. It's always sort of a challenge for us technology-wise, right? Where there's always sort of a struggle going on. And I'm assuming that Karen's downstairs watching. Was she here when you came up, Sue? Oh, good. All right. So welcome, everybody. Is it time? Well, we have a minute. We have just a minute before we get started. So I just want to thank everybody for coming, for making room in your schedule for me today. I love doing the Get Organized Challenge, right? It's kind of the thing, the teaching part, the helping part is the part of my job that I like the best. So it's the most fun for me. So thank you for providing me an audience of people that I can talk to each Tuesday for 8 weeks, I guess. So let's go ahead and get started with the Summer 2015 Get Organized Challenge. So, and this challenge is called Get Ready to Get Organized. And setting yourself up for success is really, really an important part of being successful, not only in this challenge, but I guess in life in general. So we have this little mantra at the office this year. It's just super simple. Plan your work, work your plan. And that's really what this whole challenge is kind of centered around, is sort of setting up a plan and then following through with it as we go through week by week. However, as I was reading quotes on the internet, I found a really cute one from Jonathan Winters, and he says, "I couldn't wait for success, so I went on without it," right? And I think that's important also because this task is so overwhelming for so many of us, right? Most people that are on board have been crafting for a long time. We've accumulated a lot of stuff. So I guess my point with Jonathan Winters' quote there is, don't worry if it's not perfect. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Just keep moving forward and everything is going to fall into place for you. For those of you who are new to the challenge, it's a pretty simple process. There's a little chat box going on in your live stream screen, so you can ask questions right there. If you do have a question, if you started off with the word question in all caps, that's kind of a red flag to Karen saying, hey, I'd like an answer. So she pays special attention looking for those questions. At the end of each challenge, we're going to send out an email follow-up that has links back to the recorded video. So after class, it takes us a while. We process the video and we post it, and then it goes onto our website. So you can rewatch it at any time. And as soon as that's done, you'll get an email from us saying, hey, you can go to the website and watch or rewatch or whatever you need to do. I also, at that point, turn my presentation, the thing I'm sort of glancing at on my computer, into a PDF. And I'll upload a link to that too. So I know some of you like to print those PDFs or store them on your computer for future reference. So that'll be posted there as well. If you are not part of our Facebook group, it's called the 2011 Get Organized Challenge Group. There'll be a link to it in the follow-up email. It's a great group, super helpful, motivating, inspiring. So if you like to do Facebook and participate, or even if you just like to lurk around in Facebook and read what other people are posting, or need help, or have a great idea of your own, or want to share your before and after pictures, which we all love, I hope you'll join that Facebook group. We also do a prize every week for progress posts. So a progress post is just you getting up on Facebook and saying, hey, I'm moving forward. This is what I got done this week. If you don't do Facebook, you can email us your progress post, and those all go into a drawing, and we pick a winner, and every week we give away a prize at the beginning of the next session. So if you're new, be sure to do your progress post so that you can get into the drawing for that prize. And then as far as product information, we don't do a lot of product information here on the live stream. I may do a little session at the end of the next class, I guess. We're not set up to do it this time. So if you want product information, we're happy. Karen can answer questions for you. And I'll do a little thing at the end of class number 2 where we'll go through and kind of talk about scrap rack products, as we don't do too much of it here. All right, so who am I and why am I here in front of you teaching organization? Well, I'll tell you what I'm not, what I never was, I guess, was a craft girl or a hobby girl or an art girl. I wasn't interested in any of that stuff. In fact, when I was a kid, my mother did my art projects for me in grade school. When I was in high school, she made my student council posters. I just didn't have any sort of drive for art. I wasn't good at it, so I wasn't interested in it. Well, at one point I get a phone call from my sister inviting me to a Creative Memories party. And I say to her, no way, don't want to spend Friday night doing something crafty. That's not my deal. So she pulls the, hey, not only am I your older sister, I'm your bigger sister, and you need to be here for that party on Friday night with 5 pictures. So I show up there like a teenage girl with a bad attitude, right? Head shake, eye roll, arms crossed, throw my pictures on the table. My sister hands me a glass of wine. Things get a little bit better right there, right? But a half an hour later, I am a scrapbooking goddess. You know what? I wish I had that. I'm going to bring that album in so that I can share with you the amazing very first scrapbook page that I ever did. But I was hooked. I was hooked right then. It was so much fun. I was there with girlfriends and family, and we were having a great time. And I thought, this is something that I'm good at. Look at this amazing layout. And for those of you who've done the Creative Memories thing, big white paper, those 2 triangles of color, right? Heart-shaped pictures, star-shaped pictures, stickers everywhere, decorative edge scissors. In fact, I was so good with decorative edge scissors, I thought maybe I should trim my own hair with these. That would be kind of cool, right? So I just went crazy. I bought everything that the rep had. I wanted her to go home and get other things. And then the very next Saturday, there I was with my sister up at the local scrapbook store loading up, right? So basically, I had too much stuff from the very beginning. I'm sure there are others of you out there who caught that same bug, right? I thought, I'm going to do an album for me. I'm going to do an album for each of my kids. I'm going to do an album for my husband's parents. I'm going to do an album for my parents. I was scrapbook obsessed, and that's not uncommon, right? But I had too much stuff from the very beginning, and it just continued to grow. At that time, I was a dining room table scrapbooker. And it got to the point, I'm also a little bit OCD, which obviously I am because here I am teaching organization, but I almost quit crafting because it was way too much work to haul things out and put them away, and they made a huge mess all over the dining room. So it was sort of that led me to sort of coming up with an organization system that would make it very simple to bring things out and put them away. And after I did it for myself, that's when my sister said, you should teach organization classes. And organization is so second nature to me. I said to her, no one needs an organization class. And she said, Tiffany, look at your space and look at my room. Some of us, at least 50% of the 2 of us, need an organization class. So here I am teaching organization and loving it. So welcome to the Get Organized Challenge. And let's get started for real, right? One of the important things to understand about setting goals and following through with a big project is understanding why that project, that goal, that resolution might fail, right? Because if you understand why it might fail, then you can prevent failure or at least recognize where things are not going so well. So a lot of times we set goals that are just way too big, right? So in this challenge, we've tried to break everything down into really small steps. We lack motivating instant gratification. That's another reason that goals fail, right? Again, the small steps, the little things we're going to do each week, they're just going to give you a little bit of that instant gratification and help you continue to move on. One thing a lot of people don't know is that follow-through depends on willpower. Most of us know that. But did you know that stress will deplete your willpower? Did you know you only have a certain amount of willpower available and you can literally exhaust it throughout the day? And there's ways to regenerate that willpower. A little handful of Skittles will give you a little power boost going out for a walk. But it's important to recognize that as well, that you, if you're stressed out or you've been really busy or your mind has been super active throughout the day, it's going to be harder to stay focused on that task. It's good to recognize that setbacks actually happen and kind of be prepared for that. So when you're planning to get something done and then it doesn't quite work out that way, you know, just be ready to say, okay, that didn't quite work out. I'm just going to have to take a step back and move forward tomorrow or in an hour or whatever it takes. One way to ensure, to ensure your success is to go public, right? Once we put it out there and we tell people what we're doing and people are going to ask us about it, then we feel this greater sense of obligation to keep working forward and to keep doing what we said we were going to do. So I'm really going to encourage you to go public. And it's sometimes helpful to get somebody else on board. So if you have a friend who needs to get organized in their craft space, invite them to join you for the challenge and it'll motivate and inspire you to keep going. You need to get the buy-in from people in your life who are going to sabotage your efforts, right? So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we go into the big benefits board. And then finally, the last and most important thing is to define your big benefit. So that's the thing that's going to keep you motivated and inspired as you move along. Big benefits can be all over the map, right? For me, my big benefit was going to be that I could continue doing something that I loved because I could bring everything out easily and put it away easily. That was going to be a huge benefit. Your big benefit might be that you want new scrapbooking furniture in your room, and the only way you're going to get that is if you get everything cleaned up and ready to go. It might be just the simple fact that you have short spurts of time to craft. So your big benefit is going to be that you can actually maximize those little bits of time that you have. You might want to invite your friends over to craft with you, but you have your stuff all over the place and there's no room to share with friends or family. So cleaning up that room might be the big benefit. So there's all kinds of different things that are going to be your big benefit. For some people, it's just the peace of mind that everything is nice and neat and organized. That's a huge benefit. But you need to define that so that you have something to refer back to, like, this is the reason I'm doing it. It's going to make things so much easier. So then you're going to make what we call a big benefit board, and some of you have seen this before. This is mine that I made for the very first challenge as an example, and I did it on 12 by 12 paper so I could trim it up and use it as a scrapbook page when I was done with it. It has since become a regular prop at the challenge, so it never made it anywhere but the prop area. So big benefit, what's your big benefit? It's defined here. Now you can do something like this, or you can just write it on a dry erase board. You can jot it down on a piece of notebook paper. It's just important that you get your big benefit, and then you're going to give yourself 8 prizes, right? 8 rewards as you go through the challenge. Now, you don't have to complete the entire, all of your paper, for example. You just have to complete the part that we assign you at the end of each challenge, right? So don't think that you should do more than the assignment to get your reward. You shouldn't. You should do the assignment and then get your reward. Now, I talked earlier about getting the buy-in. So when you look at my challenge things here, the very first reward for me is taking my son London to Starbucks for coffee and a game of cribbage, right? That's something he really enjoys doing. Well, I knew that if there was a reward there that inspired London to keep his little brother Max out of my hair while I was doing my challenge, that he would do that because of this benefit. And then benefit number 2 is ping pong and pizza night with Max. So something he really enjoys, he'd keep London occupied. So if you have other people in your life who are going to try and distract you, see if you can't work them into your reward system so that it makes it easier for you to continue on. Post your big benefit board somewhere that you can see it, in your craft room, on your refrigerator. It doesn't matter. You just want to constantly be reminded that you're doing that. Now, I have heard from people who have taken the challenge more than once that they didn't do the big benefit board or the rewards the first time or 2 through, and that the next time they did it, when they did the rewards board, they were much more successful. I know it sounds like a totally goofy thing, but your brain doesn't like ambiguity. Your brain likes to know exactly what's happening. It likes to know if this, then that. And when it knows that, it really is a powerful machine. But if you just let it wander around, it gets lost really easily. So give your brain a roadmap, give it the reward, and know exactly what you're working for. And it's going to make a huge difference in your success. Okay, so big benefits board. Now I have to go back to my PowerPoint thing here. So in this session, we are going to lay the groundwork for getting organized, right? You should know by the end of this session how the 4-section system works and why it works. We're going to talk about gathering everything together and what that means. We're going to talk about a themes index, purging, and how important that is. I know that gave some of you a stomachache just to hear that word. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how to create your organized only space. Sorry, my slideshow hasn't caught up with me just yet. So let me click back through here and I'll get back on track. All right, so let's start with the 4-section system, right? The 4-section system is the way that you are going to simplify everything in your craft supply collection. So when you think about organization, and many of you, if I asked you, how many of you have organized your craft supplies before? put your hand up. If you organize them more than once, more than twice, most of you would leave your hand up, right? So it isn't the tools that you're using for organizing. Well, sometimes it is, but most of it is a mental path that your brain needs to follow to find your stuff. And that's where the 4-section system comes in, right? It's not some elaborate, confusing system. It's things you already know. It's things your brain already understands, right? You don't even know. I've read so many books about how the brain works. It drives my family crazy. But once you understand how you're thinking and why you're thinking that way, it's so much easier to make changes or do things differently or to give your brain new information to work with. So 4-section system is based on things we already know. The rainbow, the alphabet, the calendar year. It's all very simple. So let's take a quick look at what that 4-section system looks like. I'm going to move this over a little bit. How is that, Sue? Good. So this is all nice and neat and tidy because it's a demo unit. So if you just quickly, Sue, take a quick scan over here, this is my actual scrap rack. So you can see it doesn't look quite so neat and tidy, and yours shouldn't either. But this is a demo unit, so everything's really nice and neat and clean. So let's talk about the 4-section system. First section is alphanumeric. So that's anything that's a letter, number, or punctuation mark, but not theme specific. And it doesn't matter what it is. So you can see I have chipboard letters, I have plastic letters, I have rub-ons, right? So when you think about organizing your craft supplies, there's a temptation to keep things together by what they are. I'm going to put all my stickers over here, I'm going to put my buttons over here, I'm going to put plastic letters here and chipboard letters over there. But really, when you're actually using your supplies, you don't want to look all over your room, right? Because then you're relying on something, your memory. Most of us, any of us that are over 40, already understand that at some point around 40, your memory leaves the building, right? So you have to have a simple system where you just go, okay, I need alphabets, boom, there they are, everything's grouped together. One of the most common questions I get about the alphabet section is, should I group my things together by color? And the answer is no. You should group your things together by size. So when you're creating something, whether it's a page, a card, a mixed media project, it doesn't matter what it is, you are working in a finite amount of space. If you're creating a 4x6 card and you want to spell out the word happy birthday, you know that you need 1/2-inch letters. Otherwise, happy birthday isn't going to fit on there. You're not going to use a 2-inch letter or a 3-inch letter on there. It's not going to fit. So you want to be able to go to where all those letters are that are going to fit in that finite amount of space and see what your choices are. The other thing that happens is if you think, oh, I'm going to write Happy 4th of July, and then you say, okay, I'm going to write that in red. If you have all your red letters grouped together, now you've got to look through red to discover, oh, I don't have enough red letters to spell that out. Maybe I'll look in blue, and then you go to where your blue letters are. Oh, maybe not enough there either. Maybe I can combine. No, I need to add white. Well, this way you see all the choices that you've got in the same font or matching fonts in the same size. So if you can get your brain around that, group your alphabets by size, it's going to be so much easier when you actually need something. Again, doesn't matter what it is, if it's alphanumeric and not theme specific, this is where you're going to find it in that first of the 4-section system, alphabet and numbers. Now, you are seeing my 4-section system in a scrap rack, but you can apply the idea to anything. You could do it in file folders, in binders, in shoe boxes, in big plastic boxes, in Ziploc bags, right? The idea is to keep things together that you use together. And some tools obviously are better than others, but the 4-section system is going to vastly improve your crafting time and effort, no matter what tool that you use. All right, so section 2 is themes and sentiments, A to Z. So these are all the things that you craft about organized alphabetically. So animals, baby, birthday, whatever it is. But your goal is when you sit down to work on something, a birthday card, you see everything that you've got for that theme or category. It's fast, it's easy, it's all in one place. So birthday, thank you, travel, whatever it is, you want to just be able to flip there, see those things, choose what you need, and get busy on your project, right? Third section is the calendar year. So this is all of your holiday and seasonal materials grouped together. Again, if you're working on a spring page or a fall page, you just want to be able to go to that section and look and see what you've got, what your options are for that particular card category, whatever it is that you're working on or creating. right? So this brings up an interesting point. How many of you have ever taken a class where you made a layout that you had no pictures for, right? Where are those layouts now? Well, if you take that layout and put it into whatever category it belongs in this case, snow fun is in the winter category. When I'm working with winter pictures, that is going to pop up for me. I'm going to see it and I'm going to use it. So anything like that that you can incorporate into the categories, it's going to make life so much easier, right? Now you're going to be able to use this, or even if you don't use this, say you don't like the colors that you created it in at that class, you can at least duplicate the things that you made, right? These little round penguins or the igloo, or just copy that layout. And that's the same thing for cards. Maybe you have a card front that you made or that you got as a gift and you want to reproduce it, maybe in a different color. If you put those card fronts in whatever category they belong in, birthday, thank you, whatever it is, then you're going to see them and you're going to remember that you liked that layout and that you wanted to duplicate it. Okay, so that's section 3, calendar year. Section 4 is the rainbow, and this is where you put everything grouped by color that doesn't fit into a theme or category in the front. This is one of the biggest challenges for most people, right? Because it's hard for us to think about putting our buttons and our eyelets and our brads and our flowers all together in one place, because everybody thinks about buttons in jars and you know, brads in boxes and die cuts over here and stickers over there. But if you get all of those things together, you're going to be amazed at how much easier it is to find your stuff, right? So if you have to ask yourself right now 2 questions if you want to red brads, right? Do I have red brads? And most likely your brain is going to respond back with, yes, you've got them. And then the second question is, where are they? Well, that's a whole different process for your brain, right? Because it might return to you with, it'll be faster to go to aisle 2 at the local Michael's than it will be to find them in those baskets in your room. But once you have everything grouped together by color and you think, oh, I need a red flower, I need a red brad, I need a pink ribbon, whatever it is, then you're able to just flip to that section, find what you need and use it. And if it's not there, you know that you don't have it, right? So then you can go to Michael's and do a little bit of shopping, or Hobby Lobby, Joann's, wherever you like to shop. So putting everything together by color is really important, and there are all these other benefits, right? The rainbow section is the hardest one for people to get their brain around, but not only will you be able to find that red brad more quickly and more easily, not only will you be able to buy smarter because you know what you have, you will use more of what you've got, right? Because you can see it, things that you would have forgotten about, because out of sight, out of mind is one thing, but you will also use more of what you learned. So we all take these great classes on how to work with flowers or microbeads or glitter glue or whatever it is. And if you look through your scrapbooks or your cards or whatever things you like to do, you will see this pattern of what you learned most recently, what was at the front of your mind, and those supplies were at the front of your workspace. This is something that you do, that you use constantly then, because it's fresh and it's in front of you. So I did this with my sister, where we looked at our albums over a period of years, right? So we started with creative memory, so all those pages kind of looked similar. And then we took a class called Border Basics and Beyond, and then all those pages were like borders, 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 borders. And then we took a class in paper dolls, so then we had paper dolls on every page. Next thing we had was pop-ups. And then we learned to use walnut ink. And so you could trace the history of our classes that we had taken based on those pages in our books. Well, once you start putting everything together, now all of a sudden you think, oh, I'm going to use a pink flower. But when you get to look at your pink choices, you say, oh, there's microbeads. I can use that. I know how to work with tiles. I can add glitter. I can add brads, whatever it is. So you use more supplies and you use more knowledge. And you spent a lot of time and money in those classes learning how to use it, do those techniques or whatever it is. So it'll make it a lot easier. You'll just see huge benefits. Okay, so 4-section system. The alphanumeric themes A to Z. So it's themes and sentiments, calendar year, and then the rainbow. Pretty simple. All things that your brain already understands. I'm going to move this out of the way now. Now, I'm going to send you a link. There's a video on our website that's sort of more in-depth, and there's an article on the website also about the 4-section system, and it goes into things a little bit more than I'm doing here, so I'll answer more questions for you. And of course, if you're part of the Facebook group, you can ask questions there as well. I want you to know I have very few rules, but there is one rule. Nowhere, not in any one of those categories, is there an M for miscellaneous. Okay. Miscellaneous is the opposite of organization. Miscellaneous is over here and organization is over here, right? So if you look at something and you think to yourself, I don't know what category this goes in, I think it goes in miscellaneous, that is a sign that your willpower has been depleted and you need to take a little break, right? Because it's really easy to look at something and determine which of those 4 categories it belongs in. And if it's difficult, that means you need a little break. So get yourself some Skittles, a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, take a walk, whatever it is. But if you find yourself creating miscellaneous category, it's time to give it up for the day and move on. All right. So another question I get asked all the time is, why do we need the calendar year section, right? Why can't I put Easter under E and Halloween under H and just put all of those holidays and seasons right into the themes A to Z? And the reason you don't want to do that is because you want to keep things together that you're going to use together. The closer they are in proximity, the more likely you are to use them. So as an, as an example, if you put Halloween under H and fall under F and Thanksgiving under T, you would have to look in 3 different places for things that might have pumpkins and cornucopia and leaves and trick-or-treaters and, you know, all the things that are around fall that could be used in any one of those layouts or any one of those cards or whatever project you're making, whether it's a gift bag or a tag, doesn't matter. But if you put all those things together under fall, then you're going to see, oh, here's a Halloween sticker sheet that has leaves and a cornucopia on it. That's going to work perfect for Thanksgiving. So if you see it, you're going to use it, and you don't have to really think about, maybe I should go check that other category. The other big advantage is, if you love to go to crops or classes or events, if you have all of your fall things together in one group, then to pack up your fall things becomes just one thing that you need to pack. Again, you don't have to remember, you grab fall, but you forgot Thanksgiving or you forgot Halloween or whatever it is. So it makes it much simpler to pack up to go somewhere and really easy again when you get home. So there's a lot of different reasons to combine things that way. So, but kind of the underlying idea is keep things together that you use together. And we used to always say combine and conquer, right? So once those things are together, they're going to be so much easier to use. Okay, step number 2 is to create a themes index. I have a little sample one right here. There's a link to this one in particular on the website that you can download and print if you want. Sometimes people need kind of a little jumping off point to create their themes index or to see what other people have done is interesting. Now, on the Get Organized Challenge page on Facebook, a lot of gals have posted their themes list. So again, if you need to get inspired, you can go there and click on the Files tab or the Docs tab. Karen will clarify which one it is in the posts here on this side of the screen. And then you can read other people's themes lists. Give yourself a limit for how many you're going to read, right? There's this little thing also, psychology thing called paralysis by analysis. So if you read every one of the 100 of these that are posted on there, you've spent a whole bunch of time paralyzing yourself from getting anything done. So before you start reading all the themes lists on there, set a limit for yourself. Say, hey, I'm just going to look at 3 or 4 or 5 of those, and then I'm going to be done, and I'm going to get busy on my own. The themes list is unique to you. It is all the things that you scrap about, that you craft about, that you create cards about. So everybody's themes list will be a little bit different. People who have little kids are crafting about very different things than people who are retirement age and spending most of their time traveling. So think about that. You can micromanage your list as much as you want, but I will tell you that bigger, broader categories with subdivisions in them are much better. Again, for keeping things together, you use together, right? So sports is an excellent example of this. If your family only participates or watches or cares about one sport, football, then you'll probably just have a football section. But if your family is interested in multiple things, football, soccer, baseball, basketball, then you want to combine all those things under your sports tab and then just use a little subdivide. I don't know if I have it on here. Let me see if I put those little stickers on here. I don't think I did on this. Oh yeah, I did. I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back. Bless you, Sil. So I did a kind of little example of that here in the sports section, right? So I have all these things under sports, right? This is the sports tab. And then I just use the stick-on tab swimming and volleyball. So I can keep all those sports things together in one section. So I could see things, right? Because a lot of times something like sports will have an image of a trophy or a little banner that says we're #1 or go team. Those things are going to work on any sport. So you want to keep them together. Keep things together you'll use together. Same kind of thing. Now, I'm sort of rambling on and on about the 4-section system, but it's really important to think about how you use things, when you use things, how often you're going to use them, right? So travel is another category where people tend to sort of load up on travel things. And it's important that you keep those travel things together and then subdivide categories within that as well, because passports and airplane icons and those kind of things are going to work on almost any travel page, but things that are specific to Mexico or wherever you travel to are going to be unique and should kind of be grouped together there as well. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so you're going to do your themes list. You can make it as detailed or not as you want, as many subdivided categories or not. Leave a little space between each of the words, because you're probably going to find things as you're organizing that you didn't think that you had products for, and you may think that you have a lot of products for something and then find out that you really don't. So that's something to do on your shopping list, right? So, okay, so creating your themes index is the next thing, and remember that mantra, keep things together, I use together. So when you're grouping your themes together, that's the way to do it. Step number 3 is going to be to begin the gathering process, right? So I don't know where your supplies are now. I don't know if you have them stashed all over the house, or if they're in a room, or if they're just in boxes or totes that you have to pull out all the time. But you want to go around and gather everything together and kind of put it in one place. And it doesn't matter at this point that all your like products are grouped together. You're going to work through that pile or that shelf or that closet or that room a little bit at a time. But if you can bring everything sort of in together into that space, that's going to be ideal, because it'll make it faster and easier later. Step number 4 is prepare to purge, right? So again, I know some of you get a little bit hot, maybe get a stomach ache when we talk about getting rid of things. But when you think about your stuff, the more stuff you have, the harder it is to get to the stuff that you need, right? So we all have things in our collection that we've been carting around for years and years that we've never used. When we first started scrapbooking, or when I first started scrapbooking, which is now my 19 years ago, things were very different, right? We had a lot of stuff that was, it's almost embarrassing. We had that paper that was like 8.5 by 11, and it would have like a picture of a train going down a track, and each of the cars on the train had a big square that you were supposed to put a picture in. I don't know if you all remember that. They did it with cruise ships, and Sue's laughing behind the camera, right? So, but we had all that stuff. She's older. She remembers other things even more embarrassing than that. But things have really changed, right? Scrapbooking is a fashion-forward hobby. Crafting in general is fashion-forward. So whether you're a card maker, mixed media artist, or scrapbooker, it doesn't matter. All of those things change. So if you can kind of keep that in mind, that things change, and using the colors, styles, patterns, textures of today in your scrapbook will help tell the story, the history of your family. So if you think of something we can all relate to, the chevron, right? Chevrons are everywhere. They're in washi tape, they're in furniture, people are painting them on their walls, they're on clothing, right? I'm surprised people aren't cutting their hair like that right now, but it's super popular. So of course you want to incorporate those things that tell the story, the history, the trends, the colors of today in your crafts as well. It helps to document that. So if you kind of try to think about that as a fashion-forward hobby, it'll help you get rid of the things you're not using anymore, right? So setting yourself up successfully for purging means you have to set some goals around purging. So the first thing you're going to do is get yourself a purge box that's at least 12 by 12, probably a little bit bigger would be better, like 13 by 13. So you have somewhere to put your purge. The second thing you're going to do is set a goal for purge, and this can be anything. You can say, I'm going to purge 10% of my stash. I'm going to purge anything that's more than 5 years old. I'm going to purge 1 inch for every year I've been crafting. There are a number of ways to decide what your goals are, but whatever you come up with, write that goal on a sheet of paper or write it directly on the box and make it visible and make that box accessible. Keep it near you. It's going to be your very good friend as you go through the process of this whole organizing thing. And I'm going to encourage you to always keep a purge box, right? So I just use, this is my little purge box, right? All it is one of our paper storage boxes. I use it because it's got a nice slim design and it'll just fit right down here on the floor by my desk. So as I'm working on something, anything that I come across that I think, boy, that's ugly, why did I buy that? That's the first sign that it needs to go away, right? If you think it's ugly or you're never going to use it, into the purge box it goes. So even after we're done and your big purge box is gone, I'm going to encourage you to keep a small purge box handy, because the other thing that's really important to know about organizing, but life in general, is that if it's easy, we'll do it. And if it's a pain in the neck, it'll get piled up in the corner. And you know this about everything, right? Whether it's something on your to-do list or the clothes that need to go to the Goodwill, but it's easier to hang them back up and put them in the closet or stuff them in your drawer than it is to, you know, bag them up and take them to the Goodwill. So if you make it easy, then you're actually going to follow through with it and get it done. Okay, so get a purge box. Choose a goal for purging. One of the ways that it becomes easier for you to purge things, especially, I know our audience is mostly women, might be all women. Women attach emotionally to almost everything. Everything has a story and everything has some meaning for us, which is why it's so hard to get rid of things, because we have this attachment. Well, if you find a place to donate your purge to, then that allows you to transfer emotionally those items, right? So if you're connected to your local children's hospital, or you have kids in kindergarten, or you have crafty friends in need, whatever it is, if you can if you know that your stuff is going somewhere where it's going to help somebody else, it's an emotional transfer, and it makes it a lot easier to actually purge things and get rid of them. So, okay. So you're going to find that place. So box, goal, where you're going to donate it. Now, I'll tell you another little story about purging. One of the gals that took the challenge a while ago, and I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. I think it'll pop up in another challenge. I may have saved it. But she would group all these things that she was purging by theme. Like she had gone on a cruise, as an example. And after she finished her cruise pictures, she took all the leftover cruise things, put them in a bag, and labeled them cruise. And then when she went to an event, whether it was at the local scrapbook store or a scrapbook show or a big crop, she took those labeled bags with her, and she found other people in the room who were working on those themes, and she shared those supplies with them. So again, it made it was good for her. It was good for her stash, cleaned it out, made her feel good that she was sharing, and other people were really happy to get things that worked with their theme or event. So that's another idea for doing that. Okay. Rule. Once it goes into the purge box, it doesn't come out. That's a rule, right? I don't have very many rules. No miscellaneous. Once something goes in the purge box, it doesn't come out, okay? If you don't love it, you need to lose it, right? I know that most of you have so many craft supplies that even if you got to craft a little bit every day, you would never use up what you have in terms of craft supplies. So why are you holding on to things that you don't absolutely love? If you don't love it, probably not going to use it, so you need to lose it. Throw it in that purge box, all right? And then finally, I kind of already talked about this, that purge box should become a permanent fixture, or a purge box should become a permanent fixture in your craft supply area. So, all right, step number 5, what kind of tools are you using? How are you storing your supplies? So your tools should be visible, they should be accessible, they should be, for those of you who like to go to crops in class, portable, and they should probably be expandable, because most of you will probably buy 1 or 2 more crafting supplies over the course of your lifetime, right? So you need tools that are going to have that flexibility to change with you, right? Like we talked about earlier, if you're a parent of young children, you're crafting about very different things than if you are older. So you need to be able to change your categories as your life changes. That's one of the beautiful things about the 4-section system, is that when you're done with cars and trucks and things that go, and your kids become teenagers riding dirt bikes, you now have replaced the cars and trucks and things that go with a category called motorcycle madness, or whatever it is. right? So you need that flexibility. So choose tools that you're not stuck with, and then and keep that in mind. How am I going to use it, right? So there's a huge temptation to buy cute things. There's a huge temptation to line the top shelf of your craft room with cute jars full of buttons and ribbon. But when you actually need a red button or a pink ribbon, do you want to get out the step stool and pull those things down from the shelf? Because I will tell you from experience, if it's easy, we use it. And if it's not easy, we think, oh, I don't want to get up and get that right now. I'm sure I can find something else, right? So keep that in mind. In terms of space, I really want to recommend, those of you who posted up that you're just getting ready to create a new room or a new space, right? There's this idea that having this huge room would be amazing. But you know, if you have a huge room and everything's spread out, you're going to spend a majority of your time going around and looking for things. So as you design or redesign your room or space or your storage area, if you can think about surrounding yourself with your supplies, that's going to make your life so much easier, right? If it's as simple as, so this is about, I think this is a 7x7 square, right? So if you think about keeping everything in that realm, then you just need a chair or a stool, depending on the height that you work in, that you can turn around and grab the things that you need and put those things away as well. The vast majority of what you use every time you craft is going to fit in that 7-foot square, right? So when you start thinking about your space, how can you surround yourself? Do you craft with other people? So if I crafted with other people, it would be pretty simple for me to have a secondary table over here where my girlfriend could sit on the opposite side and we could talk while we craft. Right? Is that important to you? Do you share your space with your husband who collects coins or guns, or a child who does homework, or maybe you share your space with another craft. Maybe you're a quilter and a paper crafter, right? So keep all of those things in mind. If you can surround yourself and make it easy to get to your stuff, that's going to be really important. But bigger isn't usually better. It's almost better to bring your room in. So if you're buying cabinets or shelving or whatever it is, anything that you can put on wheels as opposed to making a permanent fixture is going to allow you to kind of bring that in and push it away and make it really simple. All right. So let's talk about this week's challenge. All right. Number 1, use your supplies or a piece of notebook paper or whiteboard to create your big benefits board and post it somewhere that you can see it. Wherever you're going to look at it most often, that's where you're going to put that up. So that's a challenge. That's the first thing you're going to do. Second thing you're going to do is read or watch the video on the 4-section system on the website, and I'll send out a link to that if you need clarity on the 4-section system or have questions about the details of how that works. You're going to create your themes index, print it out. You're going to gather everything together. You're going to set your purge goals, right? You're going to get your purge box, set your goals, define where you're going to donate that purge if that's what you're going to do with it. You're going to evaluate your space and think to yourself, how am I going to set this up? What's going to be the easiest way for me to get to my supplies? Join the Get Organized Challenge group on Facebook if you're a Facebooker. Even if you're not a Facebooker and you just want to join Facebook to read the posts on that page and see what's going on, it's very helpful. Here's Karen, everybody. Woo! Karen's hiding from the camera today. Can I tell them about your hair, Karen? That's not why she's hiding from the camera. Karen owns a painting studio, one of those places where you go and paint with a group, right? Sometimes you have wine. And she was cleaning the paint up the painting studio with her daughter this weekend, and some sort of paint splashed up and got in her hair, and she didn't know it. So she has this beautiful green streak in the front of her hair right now. It looks very festive. It's too bad it's not St. Patrick's Day. So anyway, okay, so Kim has asked a question. It says, I have Stampin' Up! Products that match exactly the colors of the buttons or other accessories of the paper, solid and design. Should I put them together as a collection or separate them? So the first question, great, this is a great question, Kim, is you want to keep things together that you use together, right? So this is kind of a simple one because all those colors are the same. They all group together, right? But they might have, let's say maybe the color group is, I don't know, browns and blues. So it's not all like it's not all reds and pinks, right? So it's two different colors, but the patterns and things go together. That's all going to go in your rainbow section. You want to keep things together that you're going to use together. But once you have it all together in your rainbow section and you're flipping through, let's say the dominant color is blue, so you decide to put all those things together in blue, you're going to see those as you flip through them, which is one of the values of having all those things together. And we're going to talk more next week about sorting and organizing paper, multicolors, double-sided, all of that kind of thing. So we'll address those issues a little bit more then. But you want to keep things together that you're going to use together. So when things come together in solid colors, you want to keep them together in solid colors. And then to a point where they all go together, at some point you're going to have used the vast majority of those things up, and you might just have 4 blue buttons left and 6 brown buttons, and they don't really have a lot in common anymore. And at that point, you could move those brown buttons into the brown section. But while things come together as a kit or as a set, you want to keep things together, use together, and then find ways to represent them in other categories if that's necessary. And so we'll talk more about that in session 3 when we talk about embellishments. We'll talk a little bit about it next week too. But really the bottom line question is, am I going to use these together? Then I want to keep them together or represent them some way together. All right. So you're going to join the Facebook group. That's what I was rambling on about. Even if you're not on Facebook for any other reason, once you join Facebook, you can keep yourself a secret so everybody can't find you and doesn't know that you're there if that's what you're trying to do. But lurking around the Facebook group is going to give you a lot of insight and motivation and inspiration and allow you to ask questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and get an answer pretty fast. So let me just backtrack a little bit. The challenge, the Facebook group is called the 2011 Get Organized Challenge Group. That was when we first started this in 2011. When I taught this class the very first time, I didn't have any intention of ever teaching it again. It was just sort of like, oh, let's see, you know, how well received this is. Let's see if we can help people get organized over the internet. It was done as a webinar where you couldn't actually see me and you couldn't ask questions. You just had to watch my computer screen and my PowerPoint slides go by. And then so I started the Facebook group as a way for people to ask me questions after the presentation. And it has turned into this amazing group of crafters. There's over 10,000 members on that group. So this amazing group of crafters who are helping each other answer those questions. And obviously, we couldn't keep teaching the challenge without the Facebook group. Because if you can imagine, 10,000 people can come up with a lot of questions, and if we didn't have help answering those, then we would never get to all of them. So the challenge group is people who are new to the challenge and people who have in the past. So they're able to answer questions for each other and help solve problems. And like I said, provide inspiration and motivation. So if you're somebody who can feel comfortable posting your before pictures, we love that. Everybody loves before and after, right? And so you can post your before pictures, your during pictures, your after pictures, and everybody will love you for it, and it'll be inspiration and motivation to them. So if you can join the group, that'd be great. Go public. Tell at least one person what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what your goals are, is number 8. And number 9 is to put up your progress post. So once you've worked through all 8 steps of this challenge assignment, then you are going to send in a progress post. And again, you can do that either via email or you can do it on the Facebook page. And the follow-up email that goes out this afternoon kind of explains how to do that. If you are not getting our emails, if you signed up, then you're on our email list. The only reason you wouldn't be getting our emails is if you've blocked us for some reason, which I can't imagine, or if they're bouncing into your junk mail file. So check your junk mail. If you just search the words Get Organized Challenge, we'll put that in the header, so that'll be easy for your computer to find, and then it should pop up. If you can't find it and you're not getting our emails, you can send an email to customer service at thescraprack.com or at totally-tiffany.com, and we will see if we can see from our end why they're not getting through to you. Sometimes it'll say blocked or bounced or whatever, so maybe your email box was too full. I don't know. But we'll help you if you can't find it. But if you just search Get Organized Challenge or Get Organized, the email will probably pop up and you can pull us out of your junk mail or whatever, approve us for sending. All right, so I just want to finish with one other comment. When I first started crafting, I thought, because I'm OCD, that I have to craft in order. That was scrapbooking. I have to scrapbook in order. I have to do the old pictures first and work into the new pictures, right? Well, that's not true. There's no reason you have to do that. Absolutely not. There's no scrapbooking police that are going to come around and say, oh, you jumped ahead. But that's how my mind worked. For a lot of people, that's a similar experience. The same thing sort of happens when you're organizing, right? That you think, I can't do the next thing until I finish the previous thing. None of that's true. The beautiful thing about the Get Organized Challenge is that the system stays the same and the concepts stay the same. And so you can work a little bit on this challenge and a little bit on the next challenge and a little bit on the next one, even though you haven't finished the previous one. It doesn't matter because the whole system works together and builds together. So keep that in mind as you're going through. And my very dear friend Heidi Hirsch sent me a card one time that she had written on the front of it, don't look back, you're not going that way. And I want you to kind of internalize that as you're working. Don't worry about all the things that are behind you. Just work forward every week on the challenge and do what you can. And then many, many people take the challenge over and over again. They either join us live or they just watch it over and over again online. So know that you can always go back and redo the challenge, right? So do a little bit, move on to the next one, and then when you have time, go back and redo another one, and you'll be moving forward the whole time. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Just take things in small bits and pieces. So I guess that's it. There is this weird time delay. I usually talk about it in the beginning, but if you're online now and you're posting a question, we actually sign off 30 or 45 seconds, sometimes a minute, depending on where you are, before it looks like we're signed off. So if we didn't get your question answered, or you have questions and you're not seeing any response to them, feel free to email us or call us or post on Facebook what your questions are, and we'll get those answered for you. So thanks so much for joining me this Tuesday morning. It's been great talking with you. Thanks for bearing with us through the audio difficulties that we had. And I'm really looking forward to reading your progress posts and your progress post emails and talking with you again next Tuesday. Have a great day.